Hey everybody, this is my final learning teaching interaction. This is number 3. Let's go ahead and get started here. There's 3 things I want to touch base on that we've talked about or read about over these last few weeks, and that's evaluation, ethics, and boundaries. So to begin with, I want to talk about evaluation. And evaluation, I want you to think for a minute, what are your thoughts and feelings about evaluation? Does that make you uncomfortable, or do you see some good in that? And to be honest, as I was thinking about evaluation, I think it is a little uncomfortable because we want to do well and we want to get a good report, but evaluation doesn't always mean that. But as I studied and read about the benefits of evaluation, I've come to change my mind on that a little bit. So some of the benefits of evaluation are that we can gather information that can actually make our program stronger. We can find out what is working well and what needs to be tweaked, and evaluation can help us to justify further funding. It can also provide information for matching program options to program clients. So as we're thinking about evaluation, we need to think about what are we measuring. And so it's important that we establish our vision, our goals, and our objectives. So vision statements describe what the program should accomplish, and it focuses on the end result. Goals are a little more specific than the vision statement, and objectives are the most specific. And I just want to touch on a couple of things about objectives. Objectives should be things that we can measure, and they describe an action or knowledge that a person would gain through the program. So why is it important for us to have a good understanding of goals, visions, and objectives? Why does that matter when it comes to evaluation? I think it's because we need to know what we're trying to accomplish and evaluate at the end of the lesson. If we have a good understanding of our visions and our goals and objectives, then we can use the evaluation to measure how well the program met those goals. Essentially, it can tell us when those things are in place how effective the program was. So as I'm thinking about my own program that I'm going to be delivering here in the next few weeks, there are a few things that I would like to know at the end when my evaluation is done. The first is I would like to know if my program offered relevant information that families can use and apply in their families. I would also like to know if my lesson objectives were clear and if the content matched those objectives. And I would also like to know how I did as an instructor. As uncomfortable as that is, I think there's a lot of benefit to having that evaluation and seeing areas where we can improve in our delivery of the programs. The second thing I want to dive into is ethics. And I enjoyed reading about the Family Life Education Code of Ethics. And they are meant to help us strengthen our practice and our relationships with those that we will teach. So how does it do that? How can they help us? And first of all, I think that the principles provide ways for us to make sure that we are dealing in ethical ways. We learned this over these past few weeks that family life educators can actually harm those that they are trying to help. And so this code of ethics can help us make sure that we're not harming them, that we are dealing with challenges and dilemmas that we're facing in ethical ways. They provide guidelines for us to follow when we're presented with these ethical dilemmas. And the one code of ethics that really stood out to me was, I will help parents and other family members recognize their strengths and work with them to set goals for themselves, their children, and others. And I really like this because it's so positive, and it isn't, family life education is about helping people, not shaming them or making them feel guilty. And so I really love the idea of recognizing strengths, helping people to build on that and set goals for improvement. One thing that I thought was great for us, since we're learning and just starting out, were the tips for new professionals. And the one that really stood out to me was that obeying laws will always lead to the right action. And I think we know from our case study that we did a couple weeks ago that we do need to think about that, but we also need to be respectful of the other principles that might be in conflict with that. I also thought it was great advice to refrain from moving directly into problem-solving mode when we're faced with these challenging dilemmas, but that we can take some time to reflect on the principles and the relationships, and that we need to recognize that quick solutions can lead to new problems. So the third section I want to talk about was boundaries. Family life education, we learned, is not quite like just an academic subject that we might study in a college classroom. And the thing that distinguishes between the two is really this personal element that family life education has to it. So this can oftentimes cause problems because in order for a family life educator to accomplish his or her purpose, there has to be this personal depth. And it's more personal than other forms of education, but too much depth or intensity can cause problems. So there really needs to be a balance. So how can it cause problems? Why is that an issue, this personal element? First of all, if you have a participant who's disclosing too much, this can lead them to feel emotionally unsafe or overwhelmed. The family life educator is not really trained to deal with these personal issues. So that causes a problem there. And the third thing, it can drive people away, other participants in the program, if it's uncomfortable and they feel uncomfortable in that setting. So we learned about the LFI, Levels of Family Involvement Model. And there were 5 levels. And if you'll remember, family life education really fell into levels 2 and 3. The NCFR, however, felt that it wasn't really that cut and that family life education, family therapy, and family case management were really overlapping roles. And we have some similarities. We share a vision of strong families, strong and healthy families, and there were some differences. Family life education helps family build knowledge and skills. If you remember, we're more focused on a target audience. We're working with a group of people. We're creating programs that meet the needs of that target audience. Family therapists are more working with individuals and families. Their goal is to repair relationships and improve functioning. And then you have family case management, who helps families comply with legal and policy systems and locate resources. Again, much like family therapists, family case management is more individualized and working with families rather than with groups. So these are the things that stood out to me from this last week, and I hope you enjoyed this learning teaching interaction, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks.